Okay, so back today, um, sort of cut back on the trading for this week. Uh, Hope you guys don't, get too sort of caught up with some of the trading that I've been doing. I think it's always good to understand that you don't want to be trading like all the time unless you're just really really good at what you do. Like you got to be some professional or something like that. So it's always good to sort of moderate your trading habits. um, but yeah, so my my deal with Tradecaster sort of, or my situation with Tradecaster is it's obviously a good one. Like, and dependent on sort of the number of viewers that come by and watch my stream and my market commentary. So yeah, so this is good to sort of understand. The market opened today. Obviously, the SPY is interesting today because obviously the Fed will be having a bunch of remarks on the interest rates and an interest rate decision today. Okay, so that's obviously very important. You saw the market sort of pull back a lot of the gains earlier this week, and you know it seems like right now we're hovering obviously at the 500, 501 sort of level, and we can see that on the 2 minute. It's sort of really popping back up here for the first candle. We're sort of seeing that the market is has been looking at earnings and more of the projections going forward, and not really getting some of the results that they wanted, or sort of the market anticipated, and we're seeing a pullback because of that. So, I mean, last week when the market was roughly, I think, at like hovering at 507, we saw like obviously there was about a 5% or 2%, 2.5% to 3% drop over the course of this week. And I think it's actually not that. On average, last week we dropped to about 500, and we can see that the SPY this week or today is obviously was at 500 at opening bell, and or slightly above 501.50, sorry, and dropped below like a 501 to 500 to about 501.50. So we saw that the market is really just back at where we were on average last week. So we're seeing sort of this, call it 1 week sort of moving average of 500-ish, like 501-ish. So I think we're like today, I think the numbers came out. We had an ADP employment, change, and we saw that employment decreased, but to prior. However, it decreased at a slower rate. So we're seeing slower sort of uh, numbers from there. We're seeing that mortgage applications are uh, decreasing. The index is decreasing or increasing, sorry. So our mortgage applications are increasing. And, when we think about that, those are the only two numbers that we had. We had one at 7 o'clock, one at 8:15. So where the markets are usually forward biased, and in that sense we get a sense that employment change, meaning employment, the rate of growth of employment has slightly slowed down, and from that respect, where we with that and sort of earnings, this week, heavy on the earnings this week, we need to sort of understand that is particularly important. We got something coming out at 9:45, at 10:30 before the FOMC decision. So, I think if anything, this would just be all this data would just be a build up to the 2 o'clock meeting, and with that respect, we should take a look at probably some stocks today. So the SPY is obviously, just hovering around, 501 right now, 7 minutes into the trading period here. We're just seeing that, the markets aren't really, looking for risk at, a lot of risk on sort of idea. And I think we could see a slight dip, probably back to the moving average from last week, for a little bit here, until we get some better numbers, some more numbers, and we have to wait, I think, until there's possibly, the market. The first candle is just a huge sort of mid candle sort of idea here. So we're not really seeing any sort of big moves. We are seeing volatility. Okay. Yeah, so I'll post that these numbers in a bit here. Okay, so look at coin today. Coin is sort of like following this for the past probably 15 past several weeks. Just a head and shoulders pattern. Broke the 204 resistance here. And is looking to maintain the 200 level for the stock. We're seeing this sort of downward trend starting 2 days ago, and if it can sort of break this shelf here, this trend line here, we could possibly be somewhere in the 204 to the 217 range. So we're seeing a drop on down here right now at 501. we're not. We're probably just moving back to the moving average here. So I could see today sort of fading on down, dropping back down to about 500 or so, maybe in the first little bit here. So I would say like do some puts right now. Puts to 500. Puts on SPY. 501 to 500 and even lower. Okay. We could see this start fading on down a little bit. It's at the VWAP right now. If it breaks this VWAP again, we could see a push back on down to about maybe even 550. Yeah. So really, just taking a look at some of these trends right here. We saw that like maybe for Coinbase here, we saw that, on the 29th here, it tried to make the run up to, 237.67. So we're seeing that, the market sort of just sort of didn't really wasn't able to sort of gain enough momentum to continue this upward trend here. A lot of resistance, not enough momentum, a lot of resistance at this price level. So, we're seeing this huge downward trend here. And is it justified? Would you say like is it justified? Yeah, because like if you read some of the news on digital assets right now, we're sort of pulling back on Bitcoin and Ether, and not really having these like the ETH ETF that is obviously very important to the growth of this stock. So the price earnings of this stock would come down accordingly. So that is something that we need to understand here. But like, is this the price earnings to growth? Is this sort of like something that I think is important? Yes, it is important because like earnings is important, right? So we have to, for this stock. The stock is going through some legal civil litigation too. So this stock is actually quite, I would say, very market friendly, and a lot of support at 200 right now. So when we take a look at coin here on the 2-minute, we're seeing that this stock has quite a bit of, this VWAP is at 198. So I would say this, what was it, like, when you think about this a little bit here, when we're taking a look at the, we're trying to see that this trend here, this trend is is sort of building up here at the VWAP 198, 198.28, sort of seeing a lot of potential at 198.28. So I would say, that would be obviously a point of a point where traders would start buying. Would like to sort of see like the some sort of positive momentum for this stock really. So we're not really seeing that. So are we just seeing temporary sort of pump and dump? Not really right now. Not really a stock where I think I would actually start shorting this stock down to, if it came back down to the 200 range. I could see that coming back down to a 200 range for easy $4. However, this stock always sort of is sort of the go-to when there's a lot of volatility in the markets. So that's why I think this morning you sort of saw this spike up from 198 to about 200. I think so I think that's like the upward move has some potential. Coinbase is reporting tomorrow, so we're expecting Coinbase to do really well, and so that's going to be a stock to that we could probably sort of set up for tomorrow. I would actually set this stock up a little bit here, because I think that this stock for tomorrow is actually pretty important. So we're seeing this as sort of a stock to look out for. NVDA dropping right back down today from 880 over to right back down to 850. Huge swings, huge volatility on the 2-minute from 852. We could see this sort of, if we're taking a look at some of these 5, like maybe even the 5 here. We're seeing that we had a huge pump up in anticipation for earnings today. Obviously, we're seeing sort of this pattern where it's sort of downward trending now, and not really compared to maybe the 30-day here. See the 30-day here. we're seeing that on the 30-day, there is a much higher probability chance where we're just continue to fade on down here from essentially, from essentially 80, what was it? 885 to possibly down to 840. So we have to, see that as being a possibility. The stock has sort of gone up with SMCI. So SMCI reported earnings probably yesterday. So SMCI dropped quite a bit today. So we saw that the stock was at about $900, and it dropped all the way back down to about 700 and something. So this stock last week had been hovering at around 800. So we're seeing that this huge spike up to 900 is then now fading back on down to something more appropriate. After earnings, the outlook came out pretty not impressive, so we're seeing a market reaction here on that. And it could possibly go down to, I would say, it could probably go down to $700. So we're really having to sort of reassess SMCI here. Meta, this stock is actually doing pretty well. I think Meta is doing pretty well, considering that Meta last week went down to about $400, $417, $415 or something like that. So this week, after earnings, after these, pretty much big tech earnings, Meta has been sort of maintaining its stock price. If we go to the 5-minute here, you see that it went up to about 440 on the 15-minute. Last week it tried to pass 444. Seeing it is trying to push on up from VWAP today. Seems to be working. And so we're started getting these sort of long sort of candles here. long sort of sticks where we're pretty, the market is pretty undecided. Uh, if we look at sort of the other commodities and financial instruments, we see that the treasuries have gone down substantially. 4 6 now instead of in the fives for the all across the globe, all across the board. Um, Crude has gone down quite a bit. Same with natural gas. So gold is sort of hovering at around the price that, because gold doesn't move around too much unless there's really sort of like a very important reason to. Um, Gold is still at the 23.13 range. Yeah. So gold is at 23.11. So the highest gold hit was about 2,400 roughly. Um, and that's a reflection of the fact that, well, interest rates are going to be a serious issue for these stocks, and if this persists, which we're sort of getting that impression, then we have to adjust our estimates. So, what are we going to do today with Meta? I think Meta, can ride the wave through these few data points, and then it could, at about two, it could jump, up to about the 440 range and try to retest this 440. It has room, I think, to go up to about 440, depending on what the market says about the SPY. Like, I mean, sort of inputs going into information going into the SPY until the Fed meeting. So we have the global manufacturing number that just came out. Global manufacturing decreased. So this comes back to sort of inventory issues that we discussed last week, that sort of affect sort of the operating income of every company. So it just seems to me that like Meta has sort of figured that out in terms of this stock. So I think if we get some good or acceptable numbers up until 10:30, I think our 2 o'clock decision on the rate decision will bring this stock closer to about maybe 450. It could go parabolic a little bit here. So I think that Meta is a call today, and I would right now it's at on the 5 minute, it's at a multi-period high. Okay, so we're on the two. We should sort of zoom in on the, like, see if we can get anything on the 2 minute here. on the 2 minute, we're seeing, yeah, it's if we see it fade on back down maybe to the 6 day or lower, even, yeah. So even now, I think could possibly be a buy. So I'm gonna put here on TradeCaster here that call on Meta at 33.50 for 33.50 or 433.45. $34.47. 432.50. Okay. So why do I think that? I just think that um, one, I think that Meta earnings came out really strong, and Meta had performed pretty well overall, and compared to its other peers, I think it performed pretty well. Hard to say though. Hard to say because there's always transitions where you know traders could take profit, and we got this head and shoulders sort of pattern happening here at this rate. We see it could be, or it could be a sort of how would you say it, like a diamond pattern right now. We have a diamond pattern right now. So this could be a breakout on the bullish side. It could not be, but I think the odds that it is much higher that it is a bullish breakout pattern from the diamond pattern. So yeah, so we're sort of taking a look into this. It's a pretty good buy, I think, overall. So we, since the market is just volatile right now, taking some risk, I'm surprised that it's been maintaining this stock value. Amazon reported earnings today. Amazon reported pretty stellar earnings, actually. So initially we had this huge drop on down to 175, where and this huge sort of upper shadow yesterday at around yesterday afternoon. So we saw a run up that didn't actually occur until after earnings. So we're starting to see that there is sort of a parabolic behavior in from one day to the next. So we heard today that in the news that Amazon came out with pretty much Earnings. Where is it? Just trying to find these earnings right now. Amazon came out with pretty good earnings. Profits tripled. Don't expect a dividend. So there's no dividends or share buybacks. And sort of when you take a look at Amazon, I think, obviously it's pretty expected that they won't give out a dividend based on the AI sort of trend here. The issue is that we have this 182 mark right now, and we had this sort of volatility from the day before. Are we? Is this stock still sort of? Is it a callable stock or is it a shortable stock? So we have to sort of take a look at sort of the overall trend of this stock for the past, maybe if we look at the monthly chart here, we see that, this stock from essentially the beginning of the year has gone up quite a bit. Came back down from its sort of its 2022 highs, and now it's back at its 2022 high. So if that's the case, where obviously here is sort of the 177 is sort of the overall trend for essentially a few years now. So this point is pretty important for this stock. Cloud computing divisions at Alphabet, Microsoft surpassed results in other parts of the business. AWS is obviously very important to Amazon's profits. So now they have free cash flow, obviously, because COVID is over. So we're seeing this sort of the stock sort of recover back to its 2022 end of maybe beginning of 2022. So we're getting this type of pattern here. I'd be surprised if this breaks below maybe 177, we could see it drop on back down here to 150. But I highly doubt it because, if anything, I think obviously a lot of expenditure is into AI and this and that. So this stock could go up with a, maybe a healthy decrease, several percentage point decrease or basis points decrease with the Fed rate here. Coin, back to coin, 203. I'm gonna fade on down now, and then we spoke about SMCI. So just back to the SPY really quickly. The SPY is obviously very, very important. So the SPY is at 544. So what we had mentioned was that the SPY would come back down from 501 and sort of we 501.50, so we sort of see this dollar profit or so. And now we have some new manufacturing data. Manufacturing went down, jobs, opening jolts went up, and we have construction spending that went down too. But a lot less than expected. Well, actually, it went down even more than expected. So we're seeing this sector sort of in the sort of the working employment change data sort of shift the markets from a increasing market to a more cautious market, and I think the SPY obviously reflects that. So I'm going to take a snipping tool and I'm going to just hold on 1 second. I'm going to put this on Tradecaster so that you guys have a copy of it. And then we can mark it up a little bit here. Okay. So okay. So I'll send this over to you guys right away. Okay, so we got the SPY fading on down now.